again, it sets things up for Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, center field, way back, but Hernandez is there. About as deep as you could hit it without hitting it out at Yankee Stadium.
2nd and 3. Trubisky on the move down the sideline, and reaching up for it is George Pickens, and he holds it in.
George Pickens, this is a guy that's known when he was in college at Georgia. Vertical, stretch the defense, make play.
Bring it in now, big guy. What's up, Bob?
Good morning on this,
Beautiful fall.
very unusual situation. Last week, we were here during the summer. And here we are today. I think we're here in the winter. What happened to the
my
fall?
theory?
I have
You
no idea.
I think we're down 40 degrees in 7 or 10 days now.
It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
it's crazy crazy
I
weather.
always
but
maintain you flick a switch. It happens every year.
Yeah.
Every year, right about the last day, technically of summer, the next day feels like it's 45 out, and you get the heavier top and the sweater. I got to go into the GFC wardrobe, where I've got a whole bunch of sweater options and fleeces. I'm like, which one am I going to wear today? So, yeah,
Before we get into it, this is, speaking of sports,
yeah.
with your moderator to be Al, the Coach Harris.
Are we loaded today, Coach, or are we loaded, man? I'm Chuck.
We might be tonight by 10 o'clock, but that's another different story.
Yeah, we got a big day.
And with Chad, the whiz kid Grimley, and Chuck,
Whatever you
the
want.
boss
Yeah.
man,
Big guy.
wearing his Marion Mercy softball visor.
Hey, shout out to Marion Mercy.
And
Good
that would,
times.
if that would make him an advisor to the show, I
Yeah,
have no
whatever the
idea,
hell.
but
Yeah.
we'll just throw that in there.
And I run this joint in back of me. Yeah, what a great company, man. Great employees. I'm a blessed man to work with these people out there. I'll tell you something.
Well, a lot to talk
A lot
about.
to talk about. Kick us off. What do you got, Wiz?
I'll start. So Phillies are 2.5 games up for the third wild card spot right now. So every game is critical at this point. I mean, the Brewers are right there behind us, 2.5 games behind. And here's what the schedules look like for the rest of the year. Phillies, as of today, we have 3 more home games against the Braves. Those are never easy. We already won last night, that first game. So 3 more home games against the Braves. And then we have 10 straight away games to end the season. We have 3 at the Cubs, 4 at the Nationals, and then 3 at the Astros. So the hope for the Phillies is that you go 5-2 against the Cubs and the Nationals right there, and then you got to clean up. At the end of the season, hopefully you don't have to clean up against the Astros. Hopefully they've already won and don't need any wins at that point.
Big point.
And they can just take it easy. But if they're playing for anything, then that'll be a brutal series way to end the year.
Before we go deeper dive into the Phillies, we just saw the Judge final at bat last night. Did you think it was out, Coach? Do you think?
Well, I think I did, and 40-some thousand people did, and
Yeah.
everybody around the nation that was getting a chance to see it. And
The cameraman did because he didn't shoot center field. He shot the home run territory. Wiz, you weren't up to see it, but
I did see it this morning.
had a
Yeah, it
look at
looked
it.
out. I mean, you couldn't have hit it any further and have it not be a home run.
It's
So
like you set the stage in New York, Broadway production in the Bronx at 161st Street. The last at bat. I mean, come on. It looked like a walk. It was crazy.
well, you know what's ironic? His first at bat anymore. If it's a ball, they start booing. It's ball 2, they're booing. I mean, they just want somebody to throw it right down the middle of the plate for him.
How did he give the ball back the other day? 60. I mean, it's going to be worth $1 million someday, right?
It's going to be. Chad and I were talking about before we started today about there's going to be about 25 people fighting. It's going to be like a scrum
It's gonna be
in
a brawl.
rugby or a fumble in a football field.
I'm already predicting someone's going to get very hurt in that. It's. I mean, people are going to absolutely kill people for this ball.
Yeah.
It's going to probably exchange hands 10 times from a guy who catches it.
No, come on.
I think
now.
it will. I think there'll be a pile up.
You know, often you accuse me of either exaggeration or some level of hyperbole, etc.
Yeah.
It's going to exchange hands 10 times.
And a pile up, like a fumble. It's going to be bouncing around hands.
Someone's going to make a clean snag. Catch.
And what, just hold it up and go, look what I found.
You don't do that. That's
but
utter stupidity.
I think there will be a brawl for that.
Here comes the ball. Watch out. There it is. Boom. And you're clutching it. And by the way, you're at the game with a friend or 4. and they're going to be protectorants right away and make sure.
Yeah, but not everyone's there with 5 friends, 10 friends
I
to
didn't
do
say
that.
5. I said they'll be there with protectorants.
Remember, there will also be groups though with 5 or 6 of their friends.
What do you think? There's a bunch of thugs.
This is an historic moment.
Coach, this is underscore the moment. The problem with the Millennium Group right here.
This is a historic moment. It will be a brawl. That ball's that ball's worth at least $500,000.
There will be utter decorum.
Wait, hold on. If I put $500,000 on the table right now, would all 3 of us fight for it?
Hell, I can't. We can't get the hell up. We have no legs.
Okay, then maybe I'm the favorite, but I think we'd all fight for it.
I just try and get a little bit of it.
I would just block you to keep the money in the family. That's an easy.
I wouldn't have a prayer.
I would be the Russian Bolshevik bloc vote.
All right, now put it out to 10 random people on the street. That's what this is a $500,000 home run.
Well, here's another thing, too. Every seat is occupied. It's not like you can go 5 feet to your left or right and this and that. I mean, it's going to be, once it hit an area, people, if they got 3 seconds to move 5 yards to get into that area.
I wish we
now,
had,
to,
I wish
to clarify,
we had a Captain Obvious button. Playing every seat will be occupied.
And just to clarify,
well,
judges
I'd love to be with him because he's the only one that can jump more than a half an inch off the ground between the 3 of us.
I didn't think they'd sell out the game for the break bears.
Yeah, so judges at 60 home runs right now. We're talking about not number 61. We're talking about number 62. That's the ball that is going to be worth big money.
Priceless.
I heard people the other day say like, oh, if I caught it, I would request batting practice, a lunch, dinner. I'm like, that's insane. If I caught that ball, I'm saying $1 million. It's yours. Otherwise, I'm going home with it and saving it for 20 years.
So let's talk about the guy that gave it back. And there was some consideration back his way. I think he got a bat or 2, and he signed some other stuff. But, I mean, he came up on the short end of the financial stuff.
Oh, absolutely he did.
Would you have given it back? I don't
know. Why would we? Why
really
would we?
I mean, that's so Yankee.
Why are we going to give more to the team when, like, they're already making good money? Where's my turn?
You know the insult. And I'm going to speak in balance today. I don't want to speak more words than you two. Okay, I got a word counter right here. Here's where I think the insult lies. Yankees. The guy gives you the ball back. You talk about an overture of kind of holy Toledo. Give him something back more than a few signed bats and a couple other paraphernalia. Yeah, tell the guy, with this hurt, you have a lifetime season ticket. He was out in center field. Lifetime season ticket. How much going to cost?
You're talking about home run number 60 year, right?
Yeah, the guy that gave it back, number 6.
So the problem with the season tickets is the Yankees are going to run a financial model on it and say, hey, what's that worth a year? $10,000, $20,000 of decent season tickets?
He's got a pro.
That's what they'll do, though.
He's going to do a present value.
No, that's the problem.
Roll back to the cost of the ball. The Yankees.
Well, how about this too, guys?
How about that's what they'll do.
Look at him not
That's
smile.
what they'll do.
I knew he was going to smile. I said, watch it, shitty.
Exactly what they'll do.
Yeah.
How about if he just hit 61, and then but if he hits 62? And then 63. So you're.
Are we boring people?
This is a question.
No. What I'm trying to say
question.
is, if I caught number 61 or number 62, my first 3 words would, "We will negotiate." Leave me alone.
Hank from Harrisburg said, "Great show. Don't get lost in the weeds."
Hold on. If you just a quick question: if you catch number 62, and the next day he hits 63, is 62 basically worthless now?
No, that's
not worthless, but not worth
the record.
But it's not worth $500,000 anymore, right?
Oh.
So if you catch 62, the goal is to sell that baby the next day to the Yankees. Like, you want to get it and say, I'm selling this bad boy.
I think any ball in the string of his record is going to be worth a ton of money.
But the last one's going to be worth the most.
The most,
right?
Of course. Yeah, right.
So, I mean, hey, if you're out there and you're at the Yankees game, you catch that ball, maybe you should be selling it quickly. I don't know.
Here's a point we have to make. Do you have handy one of you two judges' numbers in September?
Yeah, I can get him in like 10 seconds.
This is slow pitch softball stuff. So those that think he's like a Kyle Schwarber and all,
I got it.
But
yeah, it's insane.
Check this out. Judges
it is slow pitch
/ line in September. So he's doing the home run bit. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
but
this is over 86 plate appearances, so not exactly a small sample. He's hitting 462, a 577 on base percentage, almost 1,000 slugging, and a 1.56 OPS. He has 9 home runs, 15 RBIs, all in 86 plate appearances.
That's not achievable.
7 doubles, 30 hits. I mean, this is insane how locked in. He's on another level right now. Aaron Judge is in like that. that level, you would see what was it, Klay Thompson? He had 50 points in a quarter like that. But he's been in that mode for all of September, which is, I don't know how you can maintain that level of focus and discipline and performance for this long.
Be that good a hitter. So his total numbers in all the baseball columns of achievement, he's going to end up having the greatest offensive year of any player in modern history. You have to go back and look at, believe it or not, Schmidt in 81. We have a grid on that somewhere. And take, as usual, there's only 5, I believe, post 50. But when you spread to 5, Aaron Judge is number 1 in all of the categories. In other words, what we're saying here is you're witnessing the greatest offensive season ever, because you're not going to go back to 1919 and Ruth and all that. It's a whole different time frame. Everything looks Ruth had like 13 consecutive years in a row where his slugging percentage was 850. Just out of whack,
Unbelievable.
But so he's not just a home run hitter, Kyle Schwarber. He's an all-around baseball player. And he bet on himself. He turned down a lot of money to put the heat on himself. And look at this production. And we said last week on the show that he doesn't slip defensively, where of the last 5 seasons, 3 of them he hasn't had an error. Did you see his assist last night? He's got a bazooka. He gets to the ball quick. A lot of tall guys like that stature, they have a problem being nimble. Judge plays right field as good as anybody. I mean, they put him in center field. He did terrific there, too.
He's already stole more bases for anybody that ever played in the major leagues, 6, 7, or above.
Yeah,
How about that?
I'll tell you what.
But he's worked on that. So
yeah, and you put Stanton back in the lineup. Everybody's saying the Yankees are going to, and they may have a problem in the postseason because of the K's, just like every other year. But all boats rise. As soon as you put Stanton back in the lineup, they're 8-2 now. Stanton's back in the lineup, because you get more contribution, more run production. And pitchers say, well, you say walk Judge, but we got this guy in back of him, and some, a couple of the guys that have heated up since Stanton came back. That makes sense. So it's kind of hard to walk him every time, knowing that you've got Stanton in the line there.
Well, it's the old Maris Mantle thing, way back. Same thing.
Yeah, but there's definitely going to be some excitement. They're home this weekend still against the Red Sox. They played the Red Sox last night. Is it that series continues, or does somebody else come in Friday?
Usually somebody comes in Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We should. Who they playing with? Take a look at the Yankees weekend schedule. I think the Red Sox were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that classic late Red Sox series in the Bronx.
It's tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday Night Baseball. And then the Yankees go to the Blue Jays after.
Yeah, but who do they play?
The Red Sox.
Yeah,
so there are four nights. That's unusual.
That's what I thought. Which is an appropriate team to do it against.
Especially this year.
Yeah. But, I mean, talk about high drama in the Bronx. It's just unbelievable, and the Yankee fans are rabid over the whole thing. And
if I were a Red Sox pitcher, I wouldn't throw to him. I wouldn't throw. I would not have my name in the history books as the guy who gave that up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just sorry, coach, the ball slipped.
I mean, I've seen first base open many times. And as I've said before, that nonsense about, well, he's the go-ahead run with 2 outs. Are you kidding me? He's the go-ahead run at first base. You're not going to walk him because with 2 outs.
We might always hit 60 home runs.
Kidding me, okay? Hey, go-ahead run. Go to first. I'll deal with the next guy that isn't batting 492 or whatever. They're slow pitch softball.
But you know what's ironic? I can still remember Tracy Stallard is the one that threw the 61st home run to Maris. Yeah. Tracy Stallard, at least I know his name.
The numbers Chad just read off, I thought they were Charlie Kellogg or Harry Sparks that they was talking about.
So how concerned are you guys that the Brewers catch the Phillies here?
Before we go, I hate to segue back twice, but we just saw that catch. We don't have to talk about last night's game. Is that the greatest catch you've ever seen? Certainly for this year.
This year.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'm talking NFL now?
Last night's catch will be.
with George Pickens.
Yeah, it will stand as the greatest catch of the season.
For the Steelers,
Oh,
right?
yeah, 100%. That catch was insane. The one-handed. George Pickens is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be an unbelievable NFL player. Very excited to see how he develops.
Remember a few years ago with Eli Manning, though, with the helmet catch? And so if you go back through years, you can...
How much stick 'em? what are their hands like to be able to just extend your hand out and the ball sticks in the palm of the glove and whatever the sticky stuff is? That ball didn't move, so you know what the hands must be like as far as the texture.
I mean, it's a combination of massive hands, and those gloves are very sticky.
Yeah.
But hey, you're still falling down and fighting the ricochets and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I have worn the NFL gloves a couple of times, and it's crazy how much stickier they are than baseball gloves, which I'm used to. But hey, to still make that catch and have a little bit of a push off there for sure. But it's an unbelievable catch.
Dean won't be happy to hear that there's a little
A slight push off.
offensive pass interference.
Are you trying to say that play might have been a little tacky?
Maybe, it could be. But, I think every NFL play is, honestly. I think I've heard someone say if they want to throw a flag every play, they could. Because these guys, they're killing each other out there. But unbelievable
Let's
catch.
talk Phillies baseball.
Oh, sorry, I gave you guys the remaining schedule for the Phillies. We have 3 more against the Braves and then 10 straight away games. And the Phillies are 36 and 35 on the road this year. So they really this Braves series is pretty critical. If we end this Braves series, if we lose 2, and we're only a game up or something like that, game and a half up, that could be bad as we go through 10 straight away road games. The Brewers, though, have 3 at the Reds, pretty easy. 2 at home versus the Cardinals, 4 at home versus the Marlins, and then 3 at the Diamondbacks.
That's good.
So Brewers end pretty strong with 7 games against weaker opponents.
They're just not clutch though.
They're also
they're just layover team.
There's one thing here that's an advantage of the Phillies too. They're 3 games in the loss,
and tiebreaker,
right? And the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So you can almost
4.
say that's almost a 4-game advantage.
They're good.
That's true.
I think the bad news for the Phillies, if you want to look at it in a kind of an abstract collective sense, is this: 218 to 222. So this season included. How does this team match up against the teams you'll see in postseason? We really don't care what they did against the Marlins, and yes, they did way better this year. Hence the reason they have a record way over 500 against the teams below 500. But when you get to the playoffs, you don't see teams below 500. What's the culture of this club the last 5 years? It's been a 500 club.
So I'm
218, 44 and 50, minus 6. 219, 48 and 52, minus 4. Against 500 baseball. 220 short season, 13-20, minus 7. 221, 30-38, minus 8. And 2022 this year against 500 teams or better, 30 and 38, minus 8. That's minus 33 the last 5 years against good teams.
Yeah, that's the Phillies. I mean, yeah, that's just the Phillies, and that kind of leads us to the big point: is even if they make the playoffs, anything can happen, sure, but we do know they do not match up with the teams. Even on get rid of the AL. Let's look at the NL. Who we'd have to beat? And is it going to be the Mets, the Dodgers, the Braves? I don't see how we match up with any one of those teams.
I think everybody's just so hungry to get to the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. Listen, that's fine. I'm happy. I'm excited. Chad's 100%. Anything can happen. Let's talk about the recent trend, I say September, with all of the Phillies pitchers with except 1 or 2. Do you have the numbers with you? Go ahead. You enlighten us there because it's your.
Well, it's amazing when you look at
now this is September numbers. So if you looked at year to date, season to date, you're going to get a different story. But who cares now what a pitcher did in May, ERA wise? You're going to bring him into the game now. So give us the rundown.
All right, so we'll just do it with the September stats. Sir Anthony, who looked good when he came back in August, for September, he's 16.88
ERA. Yep.
Alvarado is 0.0.
He's the guy you could give the ball to. Boy, you talk about lights out.
Nelson,
one hit?
Nelson, he gave up 1 home run, I remember.
Yeah.
But Nelson, who's their middle guy, although now I think Eflin's going to be that
let's
man.
Just go numbers. Let's just go numbers here.
Nelson, September, 6.75. David Robertson, September, 5.40. Bellotti, believe it or not, 0, even though he got out that line drive.
Most fans don't know that.
Hand is way up to 8.44.
Bingo.
Gibson is 9.68. Brogdon is 7.11.
Wiz, you're shocked.
Yeah, I'm looking at
and
him.
never would have guessed this 2 months ago. Bailey Falter is 2.25, Nola is 2.87, and Wheeler is 4.4. But that was for August because he hasn't pitched September until the other night.
Speaking of sports, I'm dead serious. Will you hear that grid of the Phillies ERAs of recent September games, which is meaningful going into the playoffs? That's our staff. And, Wheeler, Noel, nothing to worry about. Alvaro, I think he's given up 1 or 2 hits in September.
I know he gave up to 1 home run, whatever. But he's been
Alvarado.
I don't think he's given up a home run in September.
8.2 innings, 0 home runs.
Yeah,
okay,
nothing.
so that was the end of August.
Got to wake up pretty early, Coach.
No.
Yeah.
1 hit.
Well, I forgot Ranger Suarez, too. He's 4.82 in September.
So Alvarado, 1 hit in September. Yeah. I mean, the guy in May, he was up to like 6.9 something. He goes away, Wiz, and they do some intervention with him. Talk about it works. Kids never give up because the emotional part of the game is just as important as the physical part. Making things are checked down, and you got to get things right.
I'm pretty sure Alvarado was the guy who met with like the therapist. I don't know if it was a therapist or not. It was something where they broke down his like mental approach and kind of just build it back up again. Yeah. Say, hey, here's what we want you to do on the mound, and whatever it was, I don't remember the specifics, but it really worked because he's been unbelievable.
One of the things I heard him say, so it's not hearsay. One of the things I heard him say was that when I was on the mound, I was looking at each pitch as if it was my family's future. Okay, if I give up a home run or if my ERA balloons up, I could be out of baseball, and that's the end of my income. I was putting the pressure on my. I got to be honest with you. And I think Chad will attest to this. I always talk about Grimley's current success in the longer run, too, of fear. You never know what tomorrow. We've had our share of unexpected shocks here. Politics, right? People change. That fear, I think, is good. It keeps you hungry and focused, But he was so fearful, it was impacting his ability to basically throw strikes. And now, last night, I didn't see it, but I heard all the pitches around the strike zone. But the umpire, how horrendous was last night's umpire?
Horrible. I mean, early in the game, it was a pitch a foot low to young Phillies right fielder there. I mean, definitely. I mean, that's when the guy got thrown out, the infield coach. But on the bat, when Alvarado, that was 3-1, and it was 6 to 8 inches inside, and the guy was already going out of the box down to first base, and strike 2, and then he threw a borderline chest fastball, 100 miles an hour, and he swung and missed on that.
Wiz, do you have something on my favorite guy, Kyle Schwarber? Can we put him in a frame of reference, perhaps?
Don't I have on Kyle Schwarber?
Anytime.
I think I have a whole thesis on Kyle Schwarber this season.
This is compelling, what you dug up here. This is compelling.
We kind of stumbled upon this research because it just started with looking at who the best players in baseball have been this year, and we knew it was Aaron Judge and Goldschmidt, Arenado, all the names we've heard all year. And surprisingly though, before we go on Kyle Schwarber, from a WAR perspective, wins above or against replacement. Yeah. The JT Realmuto is currently 9th in baseball.
How about that?
So from looking at just offensive players, now their offensive and defensive performance, JT Realmuto is the 9th most valuable player in baseball this year.
Eskin called it a bad contract. Yeah.
So he's been unbelievable this year. The second half, he's been just stellar.
Yeah.
But so what we actually discovered doing this was, where does Kyle Schwarber rank? And his WAR this year in baseball is 174th against all other offensive players. So basically, there are 173 players who, despite their probably all have less less home runs than him, with the exception of Judge, are not as valuable to what they're are more valuable to what they're bringing to the baseball team than what Kyle Schwarber's doing. And you say, oh, well, Kyle Schwarber has 40 home runs. That's unbelievable. Well, not really. There are 355 players who have hit 40 or more home runs in a season. So 355 players who've hit 40 or more home runs. And Kyle Schwarber, if you just rank those guys, his WAR is 350th out of 355 5 players.
Only on Speaking of Sports.
So,
nobody else has it.
Now these are guys. Obviously, there's Bonds in here, Ruth, Judges in this category. Guys who've hit 40 more home runs, 355 of them. Schwarber's 350th. So that's not good. The only guys that he kind of compares to, the only guys who are worse than him, Adam Dunn twice in 06 and 08. Dante Pichette, 1995, who was second in MVP voting, but his defense was so bad it weighed down his stellar offensive numbers.
The Butcher's Club right here.
Yeah, the Butcher's Club. Then you had a guy in 1977, Jeff Burrows.
Yeah.
Solid offensive numbers. Again, very poor defense to bring that down. And then you got a Chris Carter from 2016, who was just your classic home run or bust guy. It just kind of shows, though, how diminished and devalued defense is in today's, by the coaches, by the staff, the scouts. Yet we see just how important it is out there. And I was at the game Tuesday. It was my first Phillies game this year, and boy, was that a treat to watch them lose whatever it was, 18-11 to the Blue Jays. Every ball was hit hard, which was I digress.
The Blue Jays hit
there
on the barrel.
Every ball,
almost every ball in the game.
It was insane.
Barrel.
It really makes you think, did they have signals and know what was coming?
The Phillies had 3 errors that game that actually counted. There was at least 5 errors if you look at what happened. I think it was the second or third inning. Kyle Schwarber, fly ball to left field. What does he do? He loses it in the lights.
I haven't seen yet.
Loses it in the lights. It falls in. Maybe two batters later, I believe, there's a not quite a flare, but a low low pop up or so to shallow left field. Schwarber's about 10 feet from it by the time it lands. Terrible jump, because I was sitting right on the left field line. Terrible jump. Any fast outfielder gets this ball. He doesn't even get close to it. And that will never show up in the books as an error. But that just shows you the defensive value. And then I think Bohm butchered a ball. He should have made that game.
How about the catch by the center fielder up in the flower bed?
Yeah, I'm sure. So Brandon Marsh, we had as we said before multiple times on this show, he is not a good center fielder. He is a good left fielder, and it's proving
we got in trouble for that last week.
He's great going to his left. He's not so good going to his right. He's playing center field the other day in the same game, third inning, I believe. Line drive to right center field, ends up going off the wall. Marsh gets back to the ball, deaccelerates, jumps up, and the ball magically goes through his glove or over his head and hits off the wall. And he stumbles and gets up all slow. It was just bad. And I get you say, oh, it's a line drive off the wall. You can't expect him to make that play. But he slowed up. He slowed up to get ready, so he should have absolutely caught that ball.
And he had the ball to his left a few weeks ago. Same kind of ball to his left. Same kind of jump.
Yeah.
Ball goes by his wrist. He had the one where he came in, kicked it, picked it up, kicked it again. Everybody moved up another 2 bases. These numbers are true. The point that we're making, and I know we have belabored it, okay? But when you look at complete players and the top 10 home run hitters this year, and you know who they are with Judge, Goldschmidt, Arenado, right on down, Betts, their WARs go from 9-9, Judge, Goldschmidt 7-7, Arenado 7-7. I won't name them all, but they average about 6.8, 7.2. Schwarber's 1.2. So his value as a baseball player in all of the other things is below a replacement player. So if you're hearing this on the podcast, and thank you because the ratings are through the roof, we really appreciate that sincerely. So if you're hearing this and you disagree, just don't call me at 609-828-5569. Let me know where you want to have dinner. I'm going to send Chad's ride share service. What's it called? The
Uber?
The MVP.
Lyft?
Lyft. Gold Elite.
Uber Black, whatever
We'll
they call
pick
it.
you up on an Uber Black. That's a real nice navigator, Coach. Bringing you to dinner. I'm going to show you this stuff. I'm going to explain it to you. And yet we got him batting leadoff. And right now Harper's batting 081. And we got a couple guys hot in back of them, namely JT. And, I think Baum in September's hitting, and Segura. And we got nobody on base in front of them, okay, to build an inning. But we'll take that home run now and then from Schwarber and just, it's just unbelievable.
There are 30 MLB teams, 9 players. That's 270 offensive positions because there's a DH now.
Right.
And Schwarber's WAR ranks 174th. So, yeah, he's a starter, He's definitely a starter in the big leagues, but is he below average? Is he above average? No, because that would be right at that midpoint, 135. He's below that. He's 174.
If Schwarber's DH in the American League batting fourth in front of 3 guys with high on-base percentages, I love him.
And it's really a shame. It's not as much that I dislike Kyle Schwarber.
It's not
as
disliked.
Because I love. He seems like a likable guy. I'm sure
he's a
sat
gamer.
down.
He's a gamer.
One of the most fun people you'd ever meet in your life. Just
Yep.
look at the guy. He looks awesome. It's the position he's been put in. You can't. It's not fair to judge Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff position. He is a 4-hitter, a 5-hitter. That's where he belongs in this lineup, and that's where we would see way more RBIs. He'd probably be at 100 RBIs by now, and he'd probably have a way more balanced slash line.
Yeah.
Because he'd have hitters in front and behind him and put him in a position where he actually belongs. Because you can't have 187 strikeouts and be a leadoff hitter.
180, going to 200. When's the last time, Coach, and you've been quiet a little bit, so we'll turn over to you. When's the last time you said to a player that's going to lead the league in home runs that we want you to use pitches up to maybe walk at leadoff, and at the same time give us that home run power results? Do those two go? They mesh?
Well, not only that,
Walk and home run.
Schwarber has nothing that says, oh, well, he should lead off because of this and that. There's nothing you can name. He has bad plate coverage and the strike zone, like I'm saying.
Lefties, forget about it.
Yeah, and
why did they pitch to him the other night? Toronto, was it right? 3-1 count?
I know.
Right-hander to left. Next guy was right. First, why wouldn't you just put him on there and they pitch and he smokes one down the line, a ball that's sitting right over the middle of the plate?
Yeah.
Man, they have no bullpen whatsoever.
Well, this has been brought up for months, and I think Thompson has said he doesn't want to ruin the continuity of the team, whatever you want to use. But the last 5-game losing streak would have been a good sight. So let me change things up here.
Yeah,
Put him down 4th or 5th.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
After losing
a great
5
point.
games.
Thompson doesn't want to do that, but he's going to blow our playoff chances or blow when we get to the playoffs by having the wrong lineup
last
up
night
there.
in that game, they were contemplating walking Alec Boehm to pitch to Harper. That's how much.
Harper's really
he's
struggling
really
right
late
now.
on fastballs and anything in the dirt.
And they should have.
Yeah.
He's really strong. I mean, even Bohm's outs, they've been looking like line drives. He's been locked in.
Locked
Great
in.
contact.
for months
He is
now.
So
he
locked
really
in.
is.
I love the kid, and I'm going to tell you something. How unbelievable is this kid at shortstop going to be long term?
Oh, I think Boehm and Stott will be good
Stott
10-year
is
pros.
making every play, backhand, arm strength, the whole thing. He is going to be fantastic. I think he'll hit, but I know he can play shortstop. I mean, defensively.
Yeah, he's had 1 or 2 blips in the last couple of days, whatever.
Yeah.
But in the long run, he makes some great plays.
I think the only concern with Bohm is, can you teach the guy to walk? I mean, 290 on base, 290 batting average with a 320 on base, 28 walks in 140 games.
And if Atlanta has a weakness, because you look at them 1 through 9, you don't see it. But I've been following the last 2 weeks. I've been following them really the last 2 months. But against good pitching, okay, because they go on their run too, where they played the Nats and they played the Marlins and they played the Reds and the Pirates, and all those numbers went berserk. 8 runs a game, and the 21-year-olds were 390. They've hit some good pitching. 1 run, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 in a row, and they look human because the pitching is still unhittable, right? So you're fine. Guys, last night I'm tracking 99, 100, 99 spin rate for it's. How do you hit? How do you hit? We say it every week, but it's just crazy.
You know what's amazing about Atlanta, too? We've talked about, well, maybe their weak link is Swanson. His contract's up, this and that. He's in the top 5 or 10 in total hits in the league.
Oh, no, he's blossomed out offensively and defensively. We saw one heck of an Eagles game last week, didn't we?
Yeah, they're looking really good. I mean, that 24-7 win against the Vikings was special. It really was. I mean, Hurts is looking good. Everyone's probably heard this stat by now. The first player in NFL history to throw for 300-plus yards, complete 80% of his passes, and rush for multiple touchdowns in a single game. That's impressive.
That's impressive.
It shows what he can do. And here's what's great. Hurts leads all quarterbacks right now in yards per attempt at 9.1. He also has a 70% completion percentage this year. That's not the best, but it's one of the best in the league. So he's throwing for the further distance than them and still has a very solid completion percentage. He's looking really good right now. Yes, it's early. The Lions aren't a great team. The Vikings, maybe on the Monday night game, didn't really show up necessarily.
They are stiff.
Nah, they really are. They really are.
In prime time.
Who's their quarterback? Is it Cousins? Yeah, his primetime record is awful.
They look like they never got off the bus or playing whatever you want to say. They just don't show up. From the beginning, that vibe was, I hope you took the Eagles late to 2.5. It got to 3 at game time. You just know watching a game, they're not circling this game as an emotional peak. And I think that's the risk this week. Will the Eagles be able to bounce back from an emotional high game where everything went right? My God, the game that the defensive back had, Slay. Holy,
big plays.
Velcro. You couldn't get it.
Unbelievable.
How about 3rd and 2? You never see this. 3rd and 2, all right? And their good receiver, Jefferson, is going out just doing your down and out. And the pass is there, but Slay's hands in front of his chest, like 3 series in a row to stop a 3rd and 2. You don't see that type of defensive Velcro coverage by Eagles defensive backs, right?
Well, you know what's really helping the D-backs, too, is they're finally starting to rush the passer a little bit more with your blitzes, so that you can take a chance that they're going to not have that much time to throw along, down and out type of thing, whatever. But he's a player, and Bradbury, the other side, you don't hear much about him. You know why? Because they're not throwing that much to the receivers on his side. Now in Cousins' defense, a little bit, they dropped 4 or 5 passes in that game.
And the receiver ran in the end zone, the interception. The receiver ran the wrong route. I was told. I heard. Okay.
Well, not only that, when they get the punt blocked, if the Eagles kicker didn't necessarily make the tackle, but prevented that going, and they don't, score.
Yeah.
It's a big difference to be 14-7 at that time.
I think Minnesota, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong. I think they're 0-11 away on Monday nights.
Oh, I know Cousins has a big and the Cousins is only making $40 million a year, and Hurts is 1 point something million.
If you had a label, one NFL franchise, the choke stamp, who is it? Quick, knee jerk.
I'm going to say Atlanta's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm Vikings all day long. Looking back historically, Super Bowl runs, playoff runs. You're a little young.
The Packers.
Yeah, well, they've got a recent Super Bowl. So
wait, how recent? 12 years ago?
Look it up while we're talking.
I don't think the fair
He's
question.
had some bets on the Packers.
The fair question is not, do they have a recent Super Bowl? The question should be, what should they have done with Aaron Rodgers for that many years? And their coach, whatever his name was one of the most clueless coaches I've ever seen.
Now he's in Dallas. Yeah, I mean, that
guy is
McCarthy.
Awful.
You know what he said the other day? That it's just going to that all that's okay. It's just going to be that much sweeter when we get there. And you want to say to him, but you're not going to get there, Coach. I mean,
Rodgers' stats are every bit as good as Brady's, if not better. And Brady has 7 Super Bowls and Rodgers has 1. That's coaching. That is coaching right there.
It's GM-ship.
It's
ownership.
everything.
It's
yeah.
C-suite.
Yeah.
Advanced scouts.
It's all that.
Which takes me back to baseball a little bit and the Cleveland Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
That organization right now has a bunch of 285 hitters. They don't show up in run production, don't show up in home runs. They just play great baseball. They pitch okay, not the best. They don't strike out. They will walk. They'll advance runners. Francona's a great game manager. They have an unbelievable closer. They believe in that. To watch them manifest a single, double, walk, single, and suddenly it's 3-0 in the first inning, and they do it all the time. And these guys, look at the chart, 24, 23, 20. It's unbelievable how young they are now. They got rid of some older guys. They still have their great superstar, Ramirez.
Yeah.
Okay, he's been with the team, it feels like 20 years, but he's 30, actually. He started when he was like 19. So he's okay for a while, and he's so clutch. I tell you what, they could make some noise in postseason. They're a complete ball club.
They have great balance.
They're not a high strikeout team. They're not just like Tampa, relying on their pitching, and then they won't hit in postseason. They run produce. I'm telling you, watch for Cleveland. I segued over from football. You want to go back to the Eagles? That was
Yeah, so this week we're
what's happened this week?
We're at the Commanders, so we're facing Carson Wentz.
Interesting.
And well, I mean, the Eagles are about a 6.5 point favorite, so it should be an easy win. But you do have to be a little worried after good start to the season, big Monday night win, short week, going on the road. Is this maybe a game where they just don't really show up? Hopefully not. But you got to be a little concerned just looking at.
Sure.
Well,
just
to listen to a couple of interviews with Brandon Graham and so forth, you can tell that they don't respect Mr. Wentz a whole lot from things he's done. So there's your motivation right there.
They want to make life very rough for him. I ask you this, coaches, if the Washington Commanders, right? These new names, man, Guardians. If the Commanders played the Lions on a neutral site, who wins? Knee jerk. Just saying that.
Right now, I think the Lions are a little bit better than people thought.
I would think the Lions right now, yeah.
Pretty close game, 3-point game.
Probably.
Yeah. So they go to Detroit, it's my point, and they win by 3, but they give up 35 points. Now they're coming off that emotional high win Monday night. Now they got the Commanders away, who are even with the Lions. Does that make sense that they have a shot to be within that game at the end? And certainly the points. That's what it suggests. It won't. I think they're going to cover myself. They're great in a teaser this week to win.
Well, I think it's the most points I've ever seen in the recent last 10 years or so, at least.
Yeah.
Where it's a game. It's at Washington, and Washington it went up from 4.5 to 6.5 right away.
How about their schedule? So you have Washington, nothing even think about as far as fear. Then you got the Jaguars. Could you go lower than low ebb Jaguars? Huh? Then you got the Cardinals. That should be good.
Then the Cowboys, I think.
Cowboys maybe without their quarterback. Steelers won't have that quarterback in by then. Texans, Commanders, the Colts, and then you get a tough game with the Packers. What's that, week 12?
I see no way. I see no way we don't go 11-6. Worst case scenario, 11-6.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they stay healthy. They got a great balanced club. So the word balance out twice in 2 minutes, but they do, and I think they're deeper than any Eagles team I can remember in quite a few years.
Let me ask you something. You know much more about the lineup construction in football than I do. I don't follow that close. How'd they get this receiver? What organization would let that guy Brown go? How'd they do that? What was the transaction?
It's beyond me.
Free agent or trade?
A 1 and a 3.
Oh, it was a 1.
1 and a 3, yeah.
I'll tell you what. How old's the guy? Is he pretty young still, Brown?
He's 24, 25.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Hurts her buddy, the whole thing.
Yeah, you got an elite receiver. Then the other kid from last year that you forgot about game 1, he will be elite.
So AJ wanted to go too because the deal he got from the Titans was just too low. He wasn't happy with it. So they obviously didn't want to pay him enough, and he is a beast. I mean, he's a monster.
The people that criticize Howie,
and they only gave up an 18th and 101st overall pick in the draft.
That's your first and third.
2 picks for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
As good as he is.
I got to tell you something. And everybody respects their offensive line. No reason not to. We saw what the D-backs were doing last week against allegedly one of the top 5 quarterbacks. That jury's out on that. They are a complete team, and I've always had faith in Hurts because I like the Bama process. Okay, what's the kid in Miami doing right now? I thought both of them would be elite quarterbacks. We'll see.
Tua,
a little soon, but what I did see Hurts do that I did not see a lot of last year was scrambling, throwing BB seeds on the numerals to guys on the move. Did not see a lot of that last year. I'll tell you, I know his arm strength is better. I know his release is quicker. I studied that last year. I studied that. There's no doubt it's a quicker release. I haven't seen any metrics, Wiz, if you have. But
on release time, no, I don't have anything on that.
And ball speed, I know he's got about a strong arm. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but his accuracy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was 26 for 31 and 2 other plays. There was one screen pass that was a lot of people around, but he still lobbed it in there where it hit the receiver's hands, and that was the one that got deflected.
So they win the division unquestionably. Who do you fear as of today in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl? Give me your I fear them team.
Got to be Buffalo, right?
No. To get there.
Oh, to get there?
NFC. Knee jerk. Don't think too much about it.
Nobody's jumping out.
Nobody.
I mean, as much as they're impressing me.
Nobody.
I mean, I guess the Bucks. I guess I don't know who else.
They have a much tougher schedule, and they're not playing where the darn now. So I think the Eagles have home field.
Well, they're still 2-0. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't look very good, in my opinion. I think the Eagles maintain home field with that schedule, and that's what I predicate my expectations on. They'll be home in the playoffs with best record. They're not going to lose at home. And by the time the Bucks roll in, there's controversy. It's depleted,
So does this mean that Howard Eskin was right when he said the Eagles were the next team to win a championship in this city?
You have to bring that up, huh?
I'm just thinking about if you're saying home field advantage now. I mean, do they have the quickest path? And
what's changed since Eskin said it? Well, number one, when he called my comment stupid, the Eagles were 40-1. Go look at the opening future odds on the Eagles, 40-1, and the Phillies were 30-1. So at the date that we had that conversation, who is expected to win? And what would be your guess as the next world champ? And I simply said Vegas says the Phillies more so. And Howard said you can't say that; it's stupid. Well, how's it stupid to quote the future odds? Now, if you invested at 40-1. God bless you. It's 10-1 now.
10-1, exactly. 10-1, yeah.
And the Phillies are not 10-1.
The Bucks. Hold on. The Bucks are the lowest NFC team at 8-1 or 7-1.
Yeah,
Eagles are second though. They're ahead of the Packers.
Yeah.
They're ahead of the Rams. So.
And the Bucks, if you can bring the Bucks schedule up, I looked at the other day. It's a tough schedule, and you look at the schedule. After they play the Packers, okay, let's say the Titans, but they're both home games. So the Packers are going to be a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, it's
a
tough schedule.
They're pick'ems, those games. Then your Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints are terrible Giants. So you got the Packers is your one wow game, maybe.
Well, you're talking about the Eagles now.
Yeah.
Before we're talking about the Bucks.
No, I know. I just segued to the rest of their schedule being so easy.
I'm just letting everyone know.
Yes,
because it sounded like we're on the Bucks.
Yeah, we
still.
are on the Bucks. I'm sorry.
The Bucks have the Packers this week, and then they go have the Chiefs, which is tough, and then the Falcons, and then the Steelers, Panthers, Ravens, Rams, Seahawks, Browns, Saints, 49ers, Bengals, Cardinals, Panthers, Falcons. Not an easy schedule. I mean, you have
it's tough for
there.
the Eagles, obviously. Yeah.
It's easy to say, but I think we're leaving one thing out: injuries. It's only 2 games in.
Well, that can happen. Yeah.
And depending on who, how about if Brady gets hurt? You're writing them off right away.
It's hard to predicate the podcast model on a what if thesis. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I realize that.
We could have mere fancy and conjecture every week, right? You say, what if Chuck gets healthy and he can play point guard? I could. Never.
Wow. When's that miracle drug coming out?
Wiz, did you prep any other hot takes for this week?
That's about all I have.
I'm still back on your home run grid. This is unbelievable. These guys all have a 7 WAR and Schwarber's 1.2. That is just unbelievable. So are we at rant time?
Sounds
Did
like we
time
are.
Go that fast?
Well, I'd just like to throw something else in before we do the rant.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Canceling the rant for now?
We can
It's very unusual about Judge. We left out some things, which I'm going to go in my rave and everything. But as far as the Triple Crown, it's amazing that the American League has had since, like in the 40s with Williams and Gehrig, Mantle, Frank Robinson, Yprenski, Cabrera. The National League has not had a Triple Crown winner since 1937. That's pretty hard to believe.
Wow, that is surprising. Wow.
All right, Wiz, let it rip. It's rant time, Coach.
Well, my rave is that I've become a big man with Aaron Judge. He's such a great person.
I thought you said I've become a big man.
No, and just some stats going back with him. When he first came up, it was like a Mike Schmidt thing. He hit 179 and struck out 44% of the time. But over the winter, he's constantly trying to improve himself. The next thing you know, it's a rookie year, and he had 52 home runs. And injuries, he broke a wrist in 2018, oblique straight in 2019, crap rib, and collapsed lung in 2020. And after that, he got a tip from Edward Encarnacion and said, you're such a devout hitter that you go and hit hundreds and hundreds of balls. He said, watch LeMahieu. LeMahieu takes 10 or 15 swings and he's ready. And that's helped Judge a whole lot.
Yeah.
And he gets somebody throw balls to him from 40 feet away. And then he has a machine pumped up that throws 110 miles an hour. He said, so I'm just seeing, when I get in the box, I've just seen faster pitches than I did. So he's really increased his mental ability and his speed and just an all-around great guy. And I'm pulling for him, and I think 99% of the world is.
Yeah, well, Cashman, when we had dinner with Cashman in New York, with Steiner Sports, they set that up. What a great night. And he was talking about Abreu and some things that were not very kind about his work ethic. And he was mentioning Judge and how Judge in the early years wasn't happy with his results and went off campus to a guy out in California, a hitting guru, I should probably know his name, and worked on his defense more. And he said, worked his tail off in the offseason. Hey, there's no secret out there, kids. If you have the passion, desire, interest, and focus to be good at something, I don't care what it is, and you want to work on it every day for an extended period of time, trust us all when we say the results will follow, and you will be better than the other guys or ladies that haven't done that work. It's not complicated. The trick is putting in that work, which Judge has done.
And in Judge's case, where they wanted him to sign 7 years for $213 million. So now he's worth $50 million. He played his cards really well. God bless him.
Could that be the best, free agent or so decision someone's ever made in sports history? Because Judge is gonna.
It's the highest payroll.
He gets a new contract after this year now, right?
He's a $500 million.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
He's
deal.
$500 million.
Oh my God.
10 years, I'm going to go in a rave about this. I've done this before. It's continuing to be a blast, this thing. The feedback, the texts, phone calls, ratings are through the roof. The interaction with us, with friends, your son, my colleagues have embraced it. Got a couple prospects talking to us. Saw the podcast before they knew about the business, right? One hand feeds the other. But the exchange, the research, you never know where the voyage is going to take you. And all of a sudden you see something like today's research with these WAR numbers with the home run hitters. It's just been a blast for me. I've had the time in my life doing it. I enjoy it every week. It's a lot of work. Somebody asked me how much prep is there. From Sunday to Wednesday, a ton. And then we kind of put the show together. We give it to the artist over here. Chad does some research on his own, but he grooms the show then. And we have a final production, which is, how can over 5,000 people be paying attention to this? It's unbelievable. Well,
it's appreciated.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's a driving energy. Trust me. I'm looking forward to it. And just count your blessings. We all do, man. Count our blessings. Life is good, kids, everything. Business, wife.
All right, well, I'm going to rant.
A lot of rave.
Bring it back down a bit here.
Whoa, bring it back down again.
I'm ranting.
Oh, you're ranting.
That's why I'm bringing it. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it down.
Angry little whiz.
I am making a depressing yet bold statement that I have
become an Eagles
unofficially written the Phillies off for this year. I don't think it matters whether or not they make the playoffs. I mean, I want them to make the playoffs. It'll be nice to break that drought and not have that over our heads. But I do not think this team is capable of winning in the postseason. I just don't see it. I mean, right now, we're not even a playoff team last year. We're in because of the third wild card spot.
Right.
I think I want the playoffs to feel special and to feel like this team deserves to be there. And what I've witnessed the past few months, this team right now does not deserve to be in the playoffs.
Look at their run production against the subs. Look at their run production people above the 500 mark. Mendoza, Chad's exactly correct. Run production plummets. You could say some other teams do too, but theirs more so. They have just cannibalized the bad pitching and their run production against the good teams. 8 games under.
It's bad.
This is not a playoff team.
And the defense. The defense will kill them in the playoffs.
It stinks. And that's why I wanted them to make moves the last 2 Julys.
If I could make one comment, and I guess I'm grasping at straws perhaps, I was watching the Phillies just in warm-ups the other, before the pre-inning warm-ups, doing the ground balls.
Yeah.
I'm watching Guerrero. Anytime there's a scoop, he's making it. He's stretching out. Hoskins, Bohm threw Hoskins a lightly tossed for a pro ball to end the warm-ups.
In the dirt.
Scooped. Hoskins went to scoop it. What did he do? Hit off his glove and dribble 8 feet away. And I'm sitting there like, this was easy. This wasn't throw as hard as you can.
Great point.
This was a simple play. And did Hoskins act like he cared? No. He laughed it off and he walked after it. The lack of focus and discipline on this team, like that little example right now.
It's a great example.
If you're not taking your warm-up seriously, Reese, then you're not going to make that play in the game, and you haven't.
And that's why you.
And because you're not taking it seriously, make the play, because this is a scoop that any single person would have made.
Yep.
And he missed it. It can't happen.
Yep. And you look at this kid for Toronto. What's his name? Bichette, the shortstop. How sure-handed.
Yeah.
No,
he's
Bichette.
unbelievable.
You know,
He's so athletic.
Yeah, I mean, we're all fed up with the Phillies defense and their DRS. And here's if you don't like analytics and the deeper dive into stats, I'm going to give you one that's going to take your breath away, and you're going to say, yeah, we better start paying attention. If you just go in right now, standard fielding number is what? Fielding percentage. So you look, best fielding percentage in baseball, the Phillies are third, okay, overall. Wow. The Phillies have the third best defense in all of baseball, 985. And they're second from last in defensive runs saved, defensive efficiency, zone defense, coverage, everything else, hitting cuts, relay time, pocket coverage. All those things are in the bottom 5, which is why overall they're minus 38.
They just don't get to enough balls.
And some guys have improved. Certainly the third baseman, I think, has improved, and certainly the shortstop has. But overall,
the Phillies from third base this year are negative 15 defensive runs saved.
There you go.
The next worst in the NL is a negative 8.
That can't be.
That's the first 2 months.
Negative 10 from the Marlins, then a negative 8.
Yeah. How bad is first base look? Because I know Hoskins had a good
first
streak.
Base, Phillies are at 2, positive 2. There are teams worse than that.
Yeah.
Giants are negative 2.
He's worked on it a little bit. Yeah, his numbers have improved.
I don't know who the Padres first baseman is, but negative 9.
Negative 9, yeah.
And who's the first baseman for the D-backs? Is it Goldschmidt?
He's with the Cardinals.
Sorry, Who's the? I'm blanking on his name. The D-backs guy. Well, he's plus 18, which is insane.
Who the heck
plus
is
18 for the D-backs.
Chad,
they got a bunch of young kids in the lineup now, man. They have a nice lineup all of a sudden,
That was a good rant. And the thing is, the Phillies fans are so desperate for 11 years that, it's a false team going to the playoffs, if nothing, for lack of a better word.
Unfortunately, I think it is. I really do.
But we beat Atlanta's one of their best pitchers 1-0. We've had other games against, we went out to L.A. and we hit. So there are some pockets you can look at and say, gee, there's hope. We know anything can happen. Just ask Atlanta last year. So you're excited about it. But the defense is just terrible. And I think that's the Achilles heel. And the pitching in September, it's all eroding. The numbers are terrible across the board, pitching-wise,
Well, people have in the back of their mind, we're going to get Wheeler to throw a hell of a game, Nola to throw a hell of a game, and there's your 2 wins.
How they get a hold of a Swizz.
Christian Walker, first baseman for the D-backs.
There you go.
He himself has a 17 defensive runs saved at first base this year. Insane. 996 fielding percentage.
Yeah.
So you can get a hold of us. Same as always, our website, speakingofsportspod.com. Our Twitter, Speaking of Sports Podcast. Email, speakingofsportspod, P-O-D, @gmail.com. You can text Chuck there, 609-828-5569.
A little slower.
609-828-5569. And we'll be back, looks like next Friday.
Somebody wanted to know.
Oh, you know what? I won't be here next Friday.
Okay, well.
So you guys will be running.
We're going to have to run the machine now.
Or maybe we'll do Wednesday.
Are you traveling?
I'll be on the bachelor party next week.
Traveling.
It looks like we're doing Wednesday next week. I don't see you and I running the machine.
I believe that.
It's tough enough Jimmy's not here today.
That should have been the toughest decision we made all year. It'll be Wednesday.
It'll be Wednesday.
Look for us on Wednesday next week for sure. Have a great weekend. Blessed fall weekend. College football. It's beautiful out.
Go
Everything's
Eagles.
good, man. God bless you all. Enjoy sports.
Thanks a lot.